Hello and welcome to Language Culture and Dr. Lou. And I've got some fun words for you today since here at Language Culture and Dr. Lou, every day is a good day for a new fun word or two. And these two words are pretty fun. They're both nouns, the fun words du jour. Um, and they mean kind of similar things a little bit. And that's kind of funny. It just more or less depends on the age of the person that we're talking about. So let's start with Jackanapes. Yeah, that's right, Jackanapes. That's how it sounds. And I think that one's really fun to say. And surprisingly, it's also the S is even there when we use it in the singular, like one jackanapes, a jackanapes. Um, so that's one thing about it. And I do love how it has the word apes right in it. And the other fun word du jour is scalawag. And of course, yeah, I'll get to talking about scalawag a little later. But first, what is a jackanapes? Jackanapes, simply put, is a misbehaving child. It used to, once upon a time, an archaic word for this, an archaic use for this word was to refer to a primate, like an ape or a monkey. We would call them a jackanapes. But these days, who do we call it a jackanapes? Little rascals like this. It's a misbehaving child, a mischievous child is a jackanapes. Like a kid who you really can't babysit because they'll keep, locking you out at the house and stuff like that. That would be a jackanapes. And so I thought that Dennis the Menace and Bart Simpson are good examples of um, each of them as a little jackanapes. And or Lucy every time she pulls the football away before Charlie Brown tries to kick it. Anyway, so yeah, so that is a jackanapes. Is any of these little kids you see in these pictures, we would call a jackanapes. Except maybe for Charlie Brown because he's the victim in there. Anyway, so a jackanapes is a little rascal or even maybe a whippersnapper, but I think the most fun word of those three is jackanapes. And so that's a jackanapes. And these days, again, it's about a little kid. It's a mischievous child. And so we don't really use it to mean an ape anymore. But who is a similar personality type to a jackanapes when they're an adult? A scalawag. Yep. Scalawag, of course. I say that it's kind of like a jackanapes, but an adult, because a scalawag would be a mischievous, dishonest man, pretty much. A mischievous, dishonest adult, someone who you really can't trust. That's a scalawag. And the etymology of that word, what it used to be, it came about in, I believe, the 1860s, around there. 1850s, 1860s, and it was a product of the American Civil War. And what was a scalawag back then? We had the Reconstruction period right after the Civil War, and a scalawag was a white Southerner down south, of course, um, who had Republican ideals, meaning they were against the Confederacy and pro-union, pretty much. So scalawag was a pretty pejorative term that people used for people who had Republican ideas, because let's remember the Republicans were the liberals back then. So anyway, when those were pro-union, keep the country together. Uh, If they're living down south, just after the American Civil War, during the Reconstruction period, yeah, they would be called a scalawag. And it was like a decade or two later, that this word ended up appearing in pirate stories, pirate lore, like Scalawag. And there, sometimes you get even another spelling, which I like this one more. It looks like Scallywag, but so we say it mostly Scalawag. The Scally wag. I like that one too. It to me strikes me as a little more piratey. Anyway, so that's why the picture of Captain Jack Sparrow down by the pirate flag. And but it turns out it's not just pirates. We can use the term scalawag for anyone who's, well, dishonest, not trustworthy, that kind of a deal. That's why I thought that Han Solo from Star Wars was a good example of someone we would call a scalawag, even though he's not exactly a pirate, you know? And another word for scalawag would be a scoundrel. Again, somebody mischievous, not trustworthy, etc. So that's a scalawag. And I think that scoundrel is kind of fun of word, but scalawag is so much better. And it's a little, yeah, it's a little piratey. So it's so much fun to say. And so that's why it ranked up there for me with pretty much just as fun to say as jackanapes. Right? So again, a fun words du jour are jackanapes and scallywag. And either way, we're talking about somebody mischievous, but a jackanapes, that's a little kid. Whereas scallywag, that's, if there's a full grown man you really can't trust, yeah, he's probably a scallywag. Anyway, so thank you so much for sticking around for two more fun words du jour.